Welcome to our second annual Believe Gala, Rebuilding Together from Tapestry Hall. It is hard to believe that almost a year and a half ago, myself and Marnie stood in this beautiful venue, assuring you and ourselves that this year we would be in person. And yet, here I sit before you, on your screen, as you enjoy our messages and entertainment, all from the comfort of your own home. If you haven't yet perused our silent auction items, they are up and available until 9 p.m. tonight. Check your agenda card and bid away while we support Hummingbird Center for Hope. For you that don't know me, my name is Amy Ross, and I am the fundraising event director for Hummingbird Center for Hope and your host tonight. I have had the great pleasure of using this invaluable service for the past 7.5 years, since the death of my son's father, Tim, when I was 32 weeks pregnant. When looking for a concept or theme for an event, so much brainstorming goes with it, and lots of questions. What is the world like right now? Will COVID still be adding disruptions to our lives? Have we considered inclusion and diversity? What knowledge do we want to give our widowed community? Part of that brainstorming did consider Canada's work towards reconciliation. For me, personally, I view reconciliation as how do we work towards healing and rebuilding our connection with the history of this land and learn the deep knowledge, cultures, and philosophies of the Indigenous people present prior to European settlement. Hummingbird Center for Hope acknowledges that we are coming to you today from upon the land traditionally used by the neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee people. When a death occurs, the main question people always ask is, how long does it take to finish grieving? What we know now is that grieving never ends because our love never ends. But rest assured, grief does change. But we know that while we grieve, we can also work towards rebuilding a happy, fulfilled, and strong life. Another word for rebuild is repair, but you can't repair a broken heart. With time and work, the intensity of grief lessens, and you learn to live with the loss of that person in healthy ways. This is when you start to rebuild. To really understand why the synonym repair isn't the same, I thought of my dad, who I am proud to say just retired last week after a 37-year career as a Ford technician and service manager. I can't repair the little ache in my heart that knows there is no more Sunday mornings at the shop getting dirty, but I can rebuild a different relationship with him by perhaps playing lots of golf, including many upcoming years of attending our Hummingbird Center for Hope annual charity golf tournament together. The first car that my dad put on the road for me was a 1995 green Mercury Sable. The memories with that car I still cherish today, as it helped build my life from age 18 to 25. I struggled hard when that car went to the scrapyard, because just like my dad, I don't like change. With a personality that is hesitant to change, adjusting to a new path is not easy. Add grief to that, and wow. It's individual personality traits that are one of the things that make everyone's grief journey unique. It is the reason why our widowed community needs Hummingbird and you. If you are part of their support team, you need to know that you can't repair them. They need you to know that you won't be able to repair them after the loss of their partner. You have to do what my dad did to my car and me. You have to pick the part of it that needs the most attention and work on that first. He worked to rebuild that green car's transmission. Even though the car needed more repairs, it still ran. So start there. Pick a part of your grieving self or the person you're supporting and focus on rebuilding one piece at a time. Now, for an exemplary demonstration of rebuilding, this kind, strong woman joining me is not only a wonderful friend, but an inspiration to all who meet her. She would gladly carry your boulders of grief to help you rebuild, but understands the importance of you doing your own work and building your new path. She is there to help support you when you stumble and is your loudest cheerleader when you forge ahead. It is my pleasure to welcome Marnie William Belotis to share with us the organization that we are here to support tonight.
Thanks, Amy, and welcome everyone to our amazing Believe Gala. As Amy mentioned, our theme tonight is Rebuilding Together. To say the past 2 years have been anything but trying would be an understatement. The world has asked us to live, work, socialize, and seek support differently. We have had to learn how to work, live, and teach our children all from home. We have had to limit our time with those we love. And if you had someone in your life die within this time, potentially your ability to care for and mourn them has not been what you would have wished for. In a time when we needed to be together, we couldn't. When the world asked us to shut down, Hummingbird did the opposite. We built community. We expanded our existing virtual group to weekly, and since March of 2020, we have hosted 100 groups and welcomed over 1,200 widowed parents, both new and returning. We recently started hosting a group that runs on Pacific time to accommodate our widowed parents from the West Coast. Hummingbird is based on building a community to support our widowed parents as they work to rebuild their future. I've worked in the field of grief and bereavement for 18 years and have been asked many times, how do you do what you do? Isn't it depressing and sad to be around others in their grief? And to be honest, it is the complete opposite. It is inspiring to watch these men and women, mums and dads, work beyond exhaustion to support their young family and rebuild their future is truly awesome. They work endlessly to overcome the hurdles and obstacles that for many would leave them ravaged. For me, there is nothing more awesome than to see our parents listen, encourage, offer words of wisdom, and cheer each other on. I have been with parents in their early times of grief and witnessed their heartache and despair. And then I've been invited back to share in both their personal and family successes. There's truly nothing better. Many describe their grief like feeling their foundation has been rocked and their sense of stability has been shaken. We know that if we build on a rocky foundation, the resulting structure will not be sound. The same holds true in grief. Rebuilding requires a secure base. Some parts may need to be completely rebuilt, some portions can be fixed with the right supports, and some need to be altered. As the foundation becomes more stable, then confidence is also rebuilt, and the work to create a new future begins. Rebuilding is hard. Rebuilding is powerful. Rebuilding together is the best way to achieve success. Please sit back, enjoy our entertainment, your dinner, and get your Lego package ready for some building.
When it's not almost raining, there have been days like this. When there's no one complaining, there have been days like this. When everything falls into place, like the click of a switch. Well, my mama told me, there have been days like this. And when you don't need to worry, there have been days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there been days like this. Oh, when you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. Well, my mama told me there been days like this. Oh, when you don't need an answer, there'll be days like this. And when you don't meet a chance, well, there'll be days like this. When all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit, then I must remember there've been days like this. When everyone is up front and they're not playing tricks. When you don't have no freeloaders, out to get their kicks. When it's nobody's business, the way that you wanna live. I just have to remember, there've been days like this. when no one steps on my dreams. There'll be days like this, people understand what I mean. Well, there'll be days like this, when you ring out the changes of how everything is. My mama told me there'll be days like this. Yeah, when my mama told me there'll be days like this. Oh, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Yeah, well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. I just have to remember there'll be days like this.
I would like to thank Justin Plett for sharing his words with us. Described as a soul well beyond his years, he resides in Komoko, Ontario. He is not only the singer, but the songwriter of his music, and often performs as a one-man show, occasionally with a three-piece band. We hope you enjoyed his songs and you all felt a little happiness. Part of rebuilding is being open to happiness, first in small moments, followed by weeks, months, and hopefully years. At Hummingbird Center for Hope, our organization has two large pillars: the direct support of the widows and widowers that join our groups, and the indirect support that their children receive as a result of the knowledge, learning, and strategies that their parents discover. Children may find the moments of happiness earlier than you expect. We all know they find joy in ice cream, playing their favorite sport, or hanging with their friends. Some will ask a question about grief, receive an answer, and move on to checking their TikTok account. At Hummingbird Center for Hope, we teach you that this is okay and help to provide insight into the grieving process of children of all ages based on research. So it is my honor to welcome tonight our keynote speaker, Ivania Selmerson, BA candidate with honors specializing in psychology from Western University. She is going to share with us the perspective that we all want to hear.
My freshman year in university, I would say, was definitely not a typical one. On August 8th, 2019, about a few weeks before I started my first year, my dad had a stroke and was rushed to the hospital and placed into an induced coma. This was obviously a terrifying time for my family and I, but what made it even worse was that my dad was back home in El Salvador for a vacation. A few days after, some family members and I booked emergency flights to go see him, and on August 12th, he was pronounced dead. The days in between August 8th and the 12th are merely tear-filled, blurry memories to me. I felt like I was on autopilot and was merely moving forward just with the shock of it all. However, one aspect of those days I can definitely recall prior to his passing, and also afterwards, was the immense amount of family support I had around me. I remember always having a family member close by who would graciously offer the support and aid when I needed it. I think it's safe to say that my life had a complete shift after this event. You would think that this is definitely something a person who's starting a brand new chapter in their life shouldn't have to go through, right? Well, personally, I would have to agree, for the most part. Before this event, I had so much planned for my first year of university. I knew I wanted to be above average and was so motivated to go through so many experiences and seek out lots of different opportunities at my school that would allow me to get ahead in my program. Once I started school, I decided to push back as much of those feelings that grief brings into the deepest parts of my mind. I instead acted like the event never happened and that I was just a regular student who had just finished a regular summer break. For the first few months of school, I felt like I was running on fumes. I would act absolutely fine in public, but when I went back to my dorm, I would break down. This was such a draining and grueling process I let myself fall into. I was not as motivated to do school or seek out all those opportunities I had planned out for myself during the summer for when I started school. Until one day, I decided that I needed to truly address these feelings and properly go through my grieving process. With the help of the mental health and wellness services at my school, I began to address all my emotions I was feeling and properly process the events. As I continued through it, I began to understand not only my feelings, but also myself in relation to this event. I realized that this experience doesn't just have to tear people down and leave you hollow. but it can also create space for you to grow and build yourself even stronger than you were before. I began to feel much more driven than before the events to seek out excellence in my academics and apply myself to all those opportunities I had planned on applying for. I also felt even more motivated to seek out new experiences and join organizations I had never even considered joining before. Another aspect I felt that influenced my drive and motivation was my dad himself. Both my parents immigrated to Canada from El Salvador with my two brothers, and it was not an easy adjustment. I understood from a young age that I was blessed with the opportunities and experiences because of my parents' hard work. I felt in a way to honor my dad, I wanted to continue to strive for greatness in my academics in order to continue with my career path in mental health support. Because I went through this unique experience, I have gained so much appreciation for it that I am now wanting to specialize in grief and bereavement support in my future career, along with other mental health supports. I know it's hard to believe that all of this good stemmed from such a horrible event, but I truly believe that grief is not just something that weighs you down and stops you from living life to the fullest. I believe it can also allow people to go even further than they would have ever imagined. You just have to let yourself go through the motions of it all and understand the fact that there is room for growth. This is not to invalidate any bad grieving experiences. Trust me, it took me a bit of time before I started to see my process in a positive light. But once I was able to do that, I grew a different appreciation for the process and gained a whole new understanding of it all as well. The grieving process as a concept and grief as an experience is something that brings so much heartache, emotions, and can overall change you as a person. But that doesn't mean you have to change for the worst. We all know that grief is not linear, but instead a cycle that can come in waves when we least expect it. It brings upon us so many feelings and emotions, but I think it can also foster so much positive change in one's life, and I feel we should harness that aspect as much as we can from the unique experience of grief.
I hope you enjoyed All Our Relations Métis Drum Circle performing the Strong Woman song. The Métis Drum Circle was performed by Métis women from the Oshawa-Durham region who wanted to learn, celebrate, and honor their First Nation heritage. We were grateful to be able to include them in our presentation for you tonight. The Webster Dictionary definition of rebuilding is to build something again after it has been damaged or destroyed. You can rebuild a structure after a fire, a woodpile after a storm, and a sandcastle after a wave, but they are always going to be different than they were before. We wanted to take this concept and work with the children of Hummingbird Center for Hope to explain grief and let them explore how they see their lives rebuilding. We worked with the knowledge that with each season, our lives change, some for the good and some for the bad. When working with children, it is important to use words they understand, and most children understand that summer brings vacation, which comes with no school, but maybe less time seeing their friends. With the death of a parent, so many things change, and most of those changes are so very hard. Like how we adapt to the changes of a new season because we have to, our children also find ways to adapt to this very different life without their parent. So what better way to use language we all understand, but especially children, to represent rebuilding, but with Lego. Lego is an excellent toy for kids to understand rebuilding and grief, but also adults. To those who received a meal, you also received a package of Lego. Now it is your time to play. As you continue to watch, we encourage you to use the Lego to build something that represents your grief of someone special in your world, or how you have supported someone who is grieving. There are no wrong creations. Have some fun. And we would love it if you could share your creations with us. Your agenda card has the information on how and where to share. I am not sure if you know, but the name Lego is an abbreviation of two Danish words, legot, meaning play well. Play therapy is a common way for children to work through grief. Play can also be a great way to interact with your kids in a positive way and encourage connections. Life can be busy, but play is so important. And just remember, you can't rebuild the same Star Wars, Minecraft, Lego City, Lego Friends, and Lego Disney models after you lose the instruction book or a few pieces. But they're still going to look beautiful. Be present in the moment with your kids, and if you forget to be present, stepping on a piece of Lego will remind you, trust me. Join me as we watch a short film created by one of our Hummingbird Center for Hope kids, showing how our families represented their rebuilding with Lego.
My name is Grace Townsley. My dad passed away December 6 of 2015 from stomach cancer. My mom belongs to the Hummingbird Center for Hope and attends their meetings and events. The theme for this year's gala is Rebuilding Together. I chose to build a Best Buy store out of Lego. My dad worked at and was a general manager at many Best Buy locations. He loved his job and all of the people there. They became a part of our family and still are today. I have great memories of visiting my dad at work and going in with him on his days off just to say hi to the gang. He was really proud of his family and liked to show us off. My mom, brothers, and I have been working hard to rebuild together this new life without my dad while always remembering him and missing him.
This is my creation. It is a mountain. My dad used to climb mountains, and they are my favorite stories to hear. Each layer is colored different to represent the highs and lows of grief, in the hopes to reach the top of the mountain and find peace in my grief.
My name is Ben Innes, and I built my Lego set because it reminded me of my dad. And he would always take me to the soccer field to play soccer. That's why I built mine.
Singing our song side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they all had the quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing our song side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing our song side by side, side by side, side by side.
Hey guys, wait for me!
That a cappella song performed by the Quintessentials, who are an offshoot of the Snyder Male Chorus, was truly lovely. It is fitting that one of the songs they chose to sing for us was Side by Side, as it speaks directly to Hummingbird Center for Hope's two founders, Marnie Williams-Belotis and Beth Bailey. It is side by side that they have showed other widows it takes a community to rebuild. They have been doing this adventure together for over a decade. In recognition of Hummingbird Center for Hope celebrating its 10th year anniversary in September 2022, please join me as we look at the accomplishments of Marnie, Beth, and this amazing organization that has transformed so many of us.
Say my proudest Hummingbird moment is our charitable status. So Marnie and I started planning for Hummingbird Center for Hope and had many days where we felt really unsure about the journey, you know, the chances we were taking, the risks we were undertaking, and just all of the logistics and requirements to bring a not-for-profit organization to life. And so I would say, even though there's been many milestone moments since 2012, I would say that has been one of our most significant achievements, because it's allowed us to create an organization that can serve widows and widowers and their children in a way that to us is meaningful. And I'm immensely proud of both of us.
To watch and to be part of a family's or a parent's journey from when they first arrive heartbroken and devastated and struggling to even figure out which way is up, and to be a part of their journey and to watch them grow and see them, as time passes later on, where they're fulfilling and they're being successful, and we've been invited in to share in those moments. Those are my big moments that I really take away and just feel, wow, that the blood, sweat, and tears that we've put into this are making a difference, and we are fulfilling our dream of what we wanted to do when we first started talking about this crazy journey. So that's my proudest moment.
Program that we offer is Finding Hope, and it's my favorite because it was the first program that we offered to our clients when we first opened our doors, if you will. And Marnie created the program initially, and then when she and I started working together and created Hummingbird, it was really the foundation of what we offer to our clients. And the reason that I love it is because it's truly founded on a peer support model. And so we created the program in a way that allowed the participants to not only get to know each other, but to have the opportunity to share their story and to have the opportunity to see that they weren't alone. Because the way we structure the program, it allows them to not only be educated about grief and bereavement and that journey, but also learn from each other. And so often when we would run that group, you would have nodding heads, you would have kind of leaning in, we would watch body language and facial expressions, and the peer support model is just such a powerful way for people to feel a sense of community, a sense of support, a sense of feeling, not alone, that they have other people in their world that really and truly can appreciate their experience as a widow or a widower. And that's a really powerful experience.
I think my favorite one is when we bring the families together. When we bring them together and we get to meet the kids that we've been talking about and sharing, and it's putting the faces to the names, and that's the part that I really like. And to see them come in and see them interact and get to know them, it's really, the kids are neat. They're really neat to what they bring, and even how they talk about their parent, both their surviving parent, their deceased parent, what they remember, what they share, and it just makes the whole experience more real, because we're not just supporting the parent now, I'm meeting the rest of the family and being a part of that. And kids are fun. They're crazy how they talk about their grief. They're so intuitive. They're so like they say it as it is, and it's so beautiful.
Honest.
Yeah.
So honest.
I love it. I love them. So the family groups are the ones that I get a lot of joy out of, just because of the interaction, the energy that comes in. It's a different energy in that group than it is in the Finding Hope group. But that'd be my favorite ones, the family ones. gets me the most is when somebody says, "You get it," and the same kind of concept, right? Typically I meet the families over the phone, so I don't know much about them, and I'll share a little bit about my story, try and make some connections, and then they'll be just like, "You get this," and I'm like, oh, I hate that I get this, and I hate that you need me to get this, but it feeds into what you said. We're doing what we wanted to do, right? In that moment, I normalize that person's experience. I can literally feel them be lighter because the weight has gone off, and I can feel that big sigh, and yeah, that's what just makes me answer the phone again, because sometimes when the phone rings, I'm like, no, I don't want to answer the phone, because that means somebody else has joined the club or looking for support. So
well, and if I can just sort of add on to that, Marnie, if that's okay, is that our shared experience is that when our husbands died, I know you didn't either, have anyone in our lives that was able to say, I get it, I understand, I can appreciate what you're going through. Like, no one. And so those words are so powerful, because that's the whole point of us doing this, is to be able to provide a place and a space for people to be with others who can appreciate what they've experienced. That shared experience and that community is so enormously important.
My favorite memory of Keith is when we went hiking. We liked to hike in the mountains, and he would always go farther and faster than I ever could. As the higher up we got, the slower I went, and the higher up he got, the faster he went. So I finally learned that once I cleared the tree lines, that I was going to stop, packed my lunch, had a drink, do whatever, and I'd let him keep going. And there was one time where he was hiking, and I could watch him, I could follow him going up, and he got to the top. He used to call me Rory. I have no idea why, but that's what he used to call me, and he hollered it from the top of the mountain, and all I could hear coming down the mountain was Rory. And I just sat there and giggled and thought, oh my God, what have I done? Who is this guy? It was pretty cool. It's a good giggle. What about for Scott?
I honestly couldn't think of one particular memory. For me, it's more of, I guess I would call it a personality trait or a character trait that he had. He really and truly had an amazing sense of adventure and a sense of spontaneity in terms of the way he lived his life. And we were similar in lots of ways, but different in many as well. And I was organized and a planner, and I liked to have notes and what were we doing and all of that organized in advance. And he often reminded me, and particularly when we were traveling, to just enjoy the moment, notice the beauty in what we were doing, and let all of the planning and the organizing go in whatever moment. And it happened numerous times, and it was one of the things that I loved about him the most, because he appreciated who I was, but also really encouraged me to stretch and to just have fun, and the spontaneity was just not my nature, but I loved it, and I loved that he was able to bring that out in me.
Right. Yeah. Neat. Some similarities. Keith was like that too.
Yeah.
Yes. Love it.
Meeting Marnie gave me the opportunity to not only create a community of support, it allowed me to broaden my understanding of what the grief journey is. And Marnie gave me the support that I needed to really think about, what did I want to do with the rest of my life given this circumstance? And it led to volunteer experience, it led to group facilitation, and all because you encouraged me, and you walked alongside me as I tried to figure out what was I going to do with this life. And you also supported my children. And it's a pretty special thing when your initial support group facilitator turns into your friend, who really turns into your chosen family, and supports you and your kids along the way. So I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to serendipitously be introduced to Marnie so many years ago, and to now know that we not only have a shared life experience, but we have a friendship and a kinship and a sisterhood and a shared belief in our own ways that widowed people can lead incredibly fulfilling lives. And I don't know if I could say that if I hadn't
group and built this friendship. And I remember going to Beth and saying, because I'd been thinking about this, and going to Beth and saying, should we do this? And you were like, yep. Like there wasn't even a hum or an awe, it was yep. So I jokingly now say blame it all on you, that everything, all the work that's going into it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I blame it on her. So that's so from that point of view, yes, I know it's all good. But from the other side of it, as you said, I did join a group and there was people, but I didn't have that connection. And then I joined groups later on where I was, the youngest by, I was 31 when my husband died. And so going into groups where there's 60, 70-year-olds, it's a very different journey. And I'm not minimizing anybody's, but it's a very different journey. And to be able to have people that get it. And, you gave that to me as well, because when I was moaning and groaning and having troubles and struggling, like I always knew that you were in the back corner, right? I didn't have to think about, okay, is Beth going to be there or not? It could be a text or whatever. And whether it's been grief related or not, or child related or parent related, we've been parenting the parents and all that stuff too. It's been a good time, but you've always had my back. And if there's a day that comes up, it can be an anniversary, it can be a death anniversary, it can be a birthday of a kid, it can be Keith's birthday, it can be anybody's thing. It's funny now because I sit and wait because eventually the phone will go bing and there's Beth with this beautiful message that comes through on a text that just reiterates the fact that that you get it and that you're encouraging me and you're giving those words from you're killing me.
I have this effect on people.
Yes. It's the talent of little people, so we can make people cry. Well, she's done very well today. But, could we have done it with each other? I think this just says it all, right? Like, yeah, we would have figured it out, but man, it would have been different without. And I often wonder, like when your spouse dies, you don't know what your life would have been like. If they were still here, you don't know where you'd be or whatever. But man, I've met some incredible people, you being, one of them that came from that experience.
For me, to your point, it's almost like a mantra. Like I believe in myself, and if I believe in myself and I believe in my children, then it means that we can create the life that we need to create. And it helps, I don't know, believing also helps me think about keeping Scott's memory alive, right? That if I believe that we can continue in this life and we can continue to honor everything he brought to it, I don't know. I'm not sure I really feel like I'm articulating it very well, but there's something about believing that you can have joy again, that you can have love again, that you can have success, you can have a career, you can, whatever it is that's meaningful to you. There's something about it that if you can just believe in that next step or that next breath or that next connection or, the next milestone.
Ding, 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 ding. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Ding, 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 Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Thank you very much to the quintet again for that lovely rendition of Blackbird by the Beatles. What a wonderful night of music. Try to imagine a world with no music, no first dances at weddings, no iTunes, no music partnering the movie, and definitely no singing. If it seems impossible to imagine, that is because we have never, in the documented history of humanity, been without music. Music is everywhere. In any society imaginable, music is most likely present, including in celebrations of grief. Music accompanies, pun intended, events across cultures. In the words of Tim Hicks, if it doesn't make you dance, if it don't make you think, if that don't get you laughing or break your heart in two, that's what a song should do. If you don't know me, I'm a huge country music fan, and part of rebuilding myself has been finding hope, inspiration, and comfort in the words of a good old country song. Remember in the beginning I told you I don't like change. Well, folks, I would still be living in my childhood home if someone had let me. Mom. And so, Miranda Lambert's song, The House That Built Me, has always spoken to me. But even more so when a dear childhood friend of mine joined our club that nobody wants to be part of. One of the very few memories of having friends over that I have retained is when my first dog, Sandy, chased her up the tree. 30 years later, we both were together in a shared common grief, finding ways to rebuild our lives, both with children in the early stages of elementary school. Watching her rebuild, singing karaoke, and taking up a childhood love for vinyl records has been inspiring. 2 different forms of music, 2 different paths, 2 different towns, and yet a common goal: rebuilding happiness for ourselves and our young children. Music and its effect on the human soul can be a common foundation amongst community. Miranda Lambert's song says, "I know they say you can't go home again." This reminds me of the fact that we can't bring our person back. But just like my mom has created a different house we all happily call home, we can have a different life that still includes dreams. Yet, have you noticed how easy it is to talk about childhood homes and memories, and yet so difficult to bring up a person's missing partner and parent? Widows and widowers want you to know. Talk about them, honor them, mourn them, love them, and teach our children about them. Sometimes our sports system is afraid to mention them for fear they might say the wrong thing. We look happy and they don't want to upset. Those are always great intentions coming from a place of love. But as the song says, I thought if I could just touch this place or feel it, this brokenness inside me might start healing. Out here, it's like I'm someone else. I thought that maybe I could find myself. If I could just come in, I swear I'll leave. I won't take nothing but a memory from the house that built me. That is all you're doing, giving us a moment to feel it. We may shed a tear, but the memory is comforting. We want to talk about our person who helped build us to be who we are today. Help us rebuild and keep the stories of our loved ones alive, and help our children know their parent was special. Let's all work together to find a song that binds us in our grief, love, hope, and belief.
Wow, our evening together has come to a close. I truly hope you enjoyed our gala as much as we have putting it together. Thank you to Amy. I remember the first time I heard your story, and to see you now as an amazing mom, friend, and champion to Hummingbird, there are no words. Thank you to the committee that has worked so hard to put this event together, and to our sponsors who not only generously donated to our gala, but who believe in the importance of the work we do to support our widowed parent community. And to those who donated to the silent auction, thank you. All money raised from our auction goes directly towards our programs. You still have a few minutes to get your bids in before it closes at 9 p.m. tonight. Wishing everyone health and happiness. I can't wait to see you all at next year's gala.
On behalf of all the widows and widowers that use our service at Hummingbird Center for Hope, thank you for joining us tonight. And more importantly, thank you, Marnie, for always believing in me. You continue to bring more attention and more light to our community. You inspire me, you inspire others, and you have built this, an organization that believes in rebuilding together.